Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. So let's just jump right in. It's been an absolutely massive news cycle this past week, hasn't it? If you're feeling a little, overwhelmed by this giant sea of headlines pouring in from all over the world, trust me, you are not alone. My goal today is to cut right through all that noise for you. We're going to break down the top 20 absolutely crucial events of the week, specifically from the 14th to the 19th of June 2026, and we'll do it in a really crisp, easy-to-follow way. We're not just reading the news here, we're figuring out how the whole puzzle fits together. To make these 20 updates super easy to digest, we've bundled them into 5 main buckets. We're looking at global diplomacy and defense, technology and innovation, economy and national data, culture, sports and heritage, and finally, environment and global policy. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, Global Diplomacy and Defense. So global alliances are literally shifting as we speak. First up, India and France just launched the ATL Bridge. This is an awesome initiative to connect school innovation labs and really spark collaboration between young innovators across both countries. Meanwhile, over in France, the big macroeconomic decisions are taking center stage as the 52nd G7 summit gets officially underway. And in a pretty major strategic and rhetorical pivot, the United States has actually renamed its Indo-Pacific Command back to just the Pacific Command. Rounding out this defense picture, the Indian Air Force is gearing up and deploying for Exercise Pitch Black 2026 down in Australia, which is a huge step for strengthening interoperability with allied forces. And speaking of strengthening international ties, Prime Minister Narendra Modi made a truly historic visit to Slovakia this week. To put this into perspective, this is the very first time an Indian Prime Minister has visited the country since 1993. It's a massive deal. And while he was there, PM Modi was awarded Slovakia's absolute highest civilian honor, the Order of the White Double Cross. These specifically give this out to foreign citizens who have made major contributions to international relations. So, yeah, a really monumental step for bilateral ties in Central Europe. Moving right along to Section 2, Technology and Innovation. India's AI landscape is absolutely exploding right now, and all these pieces are fitting into one massive trend. First off, India officially launched BharatGen this week. This is a real game changer. It's a sovereign, multilingual AI ecosystem, which is a massive leap for indigenous tech capabilities. But the momentum definitely doesn't stop there. Bangalore just scored the #2 spot for AI-native startup clusters in all of Asia. It just proves the city is perfectly primed for this whole artificial intelligence boom. Oh, and to top off the tech news, Sarvam AI just officially became India's newest unicorn. That shows some serious investor confidence in this space. Now, what's really fascinating is looking at the stark contrast in how different countries are handling tech access right now. On one hand, you have the United Kingdom, which just announced a strict social media ban for users under 16. They are literally pulling back the digital reins to protect youth mental health. But then, on the flip side, look at India's approach to expanding physical tech connectivity. The Department of Posts just launched a drone-based mail delivery service for the super remote areas of Himachal Pradesh. So while the UK is restricting digital access for safety, India is using bleeding-edge drone tech to connect its hardest-to-reach citizens. Two totally different but incredibly interesting approaches to navigating technology. All right, let's get into the numbers. Section 3, Economy and National Data. Okay, so here are the vital economic metrics you really need to be tracking. First, looking at inflation data. India introduced a revised Wholesale Price Index, or WPI, and shifted the base year to 2022-2023. At the same time, they've officially rolled out producer price indices. What does this actually mean for us? Well, it basically gives policymakers a much sharper lens to track inflation right at the production level. They can actually spot rising costs before they trickle down and hit consumer wallets. On the leadership front, Dr. Saibal Shodapathe has been appointed as the new chairperson of the National Statistical Commission, putting him right at the helm of the country's vital data infrastructure. And finally, a massive win for global trade and India's digital public infrastructure. UPI has officially launched at the iconic Galeries Lafayette in France. Seriously, Indian tourists and global shoppers can now seamlessly use UPI in one of the premier retail destinations in the world. Next up is Section 4, Culture, Sports, and Heritage. This was a fantastic week for celebrating and preserving indigenous heritage. Get this, 4 traditional products from Jharkhand, plus Tripura's incredible traditional musical instrument, the sarinda, all officially received GI tags. This is essentially a geographic certification that legally locks in and protects their unique regional origins and identity. But alongside preserving our past, we're also seeing a big digital push for wellness today. The Ministry of Ayush just launched the Yoga Park portal, creating a really slick, modernized access point for all sorts of yoga and wellness resources. I want to pause the rapid-fire updates for just a second because we really need to spotlight this incredible achievement. Indian cricketer Smriti Mandhana has been named in the Time 100 Most Influential People in Sports for 2026. And here's the kicker. She is the only Indian to make this highly prestigious global list this year. It's just a massive solo achievement, and it perfectly highlights India's expanding soft power and total dominance on the global sports stage. And finally, that brings us to Section 5, Environment and Global Policy. We saw a vital piece of climate cooperation happen this week. India and Japan officially adopted the rules for the Joint Crediting Mechanism, which operates directly under the Paris Agreement. Basically, by adopting these rules, both nations are formalizing exactly how they are going to collaborate to slash greenhouse gas emissions and share the resulting carbon credits. It's a huge deal because it takes global climate goals out of the realm of theory and puts them into active, measurable practice. You know, sometimes the most crucial point of the week is best expressed by just one single data point: 21.76 million. That number represents the exact amount of degraded land in hectares that India has successfully restored under the Bond Challenge. If you're not familiar, that's a global effort to bring deforested and degraded land back into ecological health. This incredible milestone was highlighted this week, perfectly aligning with the World Day to combat desertification and drought. I mean, we're talking about an absolutely staggering geographic scale of environmental healing. That's enough land to genuinely change weather patterns and local ecosystems. So, when we take a step back and look at the entire picture of this week, from birthing new AI unicorns and flying the mail around via drones, to literally reviving nearly 22 million hectares of land and securing major international defense alliances, it leaves us with a really compelling thought. Are we witnessing a week that defines the entire next decade of sustainable tech? Because right now, we are seeing this perfect overarching balance between rapid, aggressive technological growth and the absolutely vital preservation of our environment. Well, that brings us to the end of today's Explainer. If you want to keep making sense of these complex weekly updates without getting entirely lost in the noise, be sure to follow Current Affairs by Ayush for your daily and weekly briefings. Make sure to hit that like button, share this Explainer with a fellow focused learner who'd appreciate it, and subscribe so you never miss out on the breakdown. Keep learning, stay curious, and I will catch you in the next Explainer.